Okay, guys, we are back with another awesome guest. Last couple weeks, we've had an awesome guest. We've had Tanner Chidester, 150 million sales in 4 years. Last week, we had a copywriter for Grant Cardone, and she's working with top influencers, top coaches. She's working with Ryan Panetta, another eight-figure coach, and she gave us copywriting tips. And now the one and only Nigel Thomas. If you don't know him, he's a force to be reckoned with on LinkedIn. He has a mastermind coming up from 28th to 30th in the Dominican Republic with Laura Costa and a lot of other people that are going to kill it when explaining how to scale your business. So we'll get a little bit into that as well and the people participating, but none other than Nigel Thomas. He's going to share his story a little bit, and he's going to share some tips on scaling, and also he's going to share what he has planned in the near future with his mastermind. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Unfortunately, the Solskjaer can't make it, but we're extremely interested as well. So thank you so much for joining us, Nigel, once again. And you and me recently connected, although we've been connected on LinkedIn for probably about a year and a half. And I just want to thank you for your time, and thank you for all your efforts on LinkedIn to change people's lives for the better. Again, you're a force to be reckoned with on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. And would you let people know your background story, how you got into LinkedIn, and what plans you have for 2025?
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. I really appreciate the kind words. And yeah, so you want to know my backstory into LinkedIn? Basically, I heard a story of an entrepreneur who went to a business meeting, and he had millions of followers online. And in this business meeting, it was basically an investment pitch. And he was pitching a group of investors for one of his new products, right? And there was 10 investors there. Out of the seven out of the 10 investors, before the meeting started, asked to have a photo with him. And I realized at that moment that he wasn't pitching investors, he was pitching his fans. And it was at that exact moment when I realized his reputation got to the room before he did. I mean, it was at that exact moment I realized, doesn't matter how busy I am, this was February 2022, I have to build a personal brand, whatever it takes. My platform of choice is LinkedIn, because not only is LinkedIn great for recruiting people, it's also the only platform that's built for business. So I carved out 2 hours of my day every single day for 18 months straight, where I wrote and posted content. And by the way,
Amazing.
I had no background of writing. Actually, I think I'm slightly dyslexic. And, I didn't do too well at school in English, but I forced myself to do it. And I'm a big believer of constraint drives innovation. So I just blocked out these hours every day and then connected with, amazing people such as Laura Acosta and other people across the platform, and learned from them, and basically just practiced and practiced and practiced. And the thing is in 2022, I didn't really get that much growth. I mean, if you look at my first posts, they were absolutely terrible, like terrible. Way worse than what any other beginner's probably starting out with now. And what happened is my account grew to about 7,000 followers. And not much business came through. And then what was amazing, and I knew that it was going to take time to gain people's trust. So I was willing to, just keep working in the dark and bring, as I knew I'd bring greatness into light one day, is one of the sayings I tell people, basically a long-term compound effect. And in 2023, my account grew to over 40,000 people, but most importantly, it brought in over 600K of inbound revenue to our agency, all inbound. And all the people that I spoke to on calls, the business owners, they said they'd been reading my content for like 12 months online. So all the seeds that I planted in 2022, they all came to harvest the year after. And I think that's
Amazing.
a good lesson for people to learn that.
Amazing.
Yeah, it does take longer. You have to do the work up front for building a brand online with content, but the outcomes, all the reasons that you're not posting, the fact you're trying to make sales, you're trying to recruit people, you're trying to invest people, you're trying to get investors, you're trying to build partnerships. They're all the reasons that people don't post content because they're busy doing those things.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you have a brand, then people come to you to work with you. So that's sales taken care of. People come to you asking for jobs. That's recruitment taken care of.
Yeah.
People come to you wanting to invest in you. That's investors taken care of. And people, come to you to build partnerships. And people also come to you, like, the great Jordan here, to get you on amazing podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all those things taken care of with one asset. So it's kind of like this weird, ironic feedback loop that people don't post content because they're too busy solving all those 5 problems. But if they actually spent the time to build that one asset, it would solve all the 5 problems that the reason why they're too busy to post content. So it's a bit of a weird kind of ironic feedback loop, but I figured that loop out myself, and I can clearly tell you now that it works.
Yeah. So, wow. I mean, the motivation and like the inner desire to do something on LinkedIn to within that year must have been tough because not we live in a society of instant gratification, and I think that's the main reason why people don't succeed on LinkedIn is they don't post long enough, and it's really hard to combat that feeling, right? Of like, okay, I'm going to post for 3 months and whatever, I'm going to leave LinkedIn now. I'm going to focus on anything that I didn't get any traction on LinkedIn and blame LinkedIn, right? So, what kept you going? What was your source of motivation? Because I mean, obviously, for people who don't know your background story, and it must have been very, very tough for you, not because of the personal things happening in your life, but also like the continuous drive to keep on posting, to keep on trying to succeed on LinkedIn. What was that? What was those key motivators that kept you going?
I'm old-fashioned in the sense of if I give someone my word, if I make a promise, I commit to that. And I made myself a promise, and I made my team a promise that I was going to post every single day for 18 months straight. And that's what I did. So I can give some like fancy, motivation trick or a YouTube video to watch or all this different stuff. But the reality was it wasn't any of that. It was just I made a promise I'm going to keep to it. And I believed in my own ability that even though I had literally no idea what to do, I'd be able to figure it out along the way. And as my mum used to tell me, Nigel, you're quite lazy. She was honest with me when I was younger. You're lazy, but when you really put your mind to something, you always seem to figure it out. And I do believe that. So it's just give it enough time. I do want to say this though, because can I swear on this or not? Is that a problem? Yeah. Okay, right. Just I do have the tendency to drop a few little swear words here and there to make a point. But what I was going to say is everyone talks about being consistent, and that's important. Okay, but if you're consistently shit, you won't get a compound effect. So, as well as being consistent, like posting every single day, it wasn't just post every day for 18 months. I've seen loads of people post content all the time, and it's it's not good. It's also consistent, but every day learning and improving. So how I did that is I connected with other big creators, and I didn't just say to them, hey, tell me how to post better content. First of all, I found out what their goals were. I found out what their problems were. And then I helped them solve those problems through my own experience, because unlike a lot of content creators who figure out how to do content, then they figure out how to do business, I did it the other way around. So I figured out how to build businesses, and then I figured out content. So I could go to them with like how to, solve their sales issues, recruitment, all the other functions of business, which aren't marketing. And then in turn, they traded that knowledge back to me, and it made, one,
Nice.
me
Very
have
nice.
an authority by positioning myself with those bigger content creators, but
Amazing.
two, all the knowledge that they'd learned over years of testing. And I'll be honest, like, I don't have 12 hours a day to spend in LinkedIn, but those people do, because that's obviously their life and soul, their business, and much respect to them for that. So if I can just get the lessons from them and also give them back advice, then it makes a really good power relationship. So I think the lesson from all of that is be consistent, yeah. Understand that you have to get better every single day, and you have to understand that that's a responsibility you have to take upon yourself to get better at content. And just because you post every single day does not mean your content's just going to magically just get better. You actually have to improve it and understand, copyright frameworks, formats. There's loads of stuff to it.
Amazing.
But instead of giving people hacks, because the algorithm will always change, I'd rather just give people the mindset and the frameworks, which is consistently figure a network with people who understand these platforms way better than you ever will, and then build relationships with those people so you can just pick up the phone and ask them questions.
Amazing. Yeah, it all starts with like giving first, and obviously you're good at this giving first, but then it's like gets kind of awkward in the DMs for many people. Like DM is a major pain point for many people. First of all, coming off creepy, coming off like too urgent to sell, coming off like too urgent to network, because sometimes these conversations last for like months before you get on like a call, before you get on like so it's really patience, right, that needs to be shown, right? I find so.
Yeah. How I'll summarize that is this:
Yeah.
one line: greatness doesn't take shortcuts.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned some key points like relationship building and like, can you give us your when it comes to relationships, you have to deal with different personalities. You have to deal with a lot of like finding your ideal target market on LinkedIn first, and finding your ideal target people that you want to network with and stuff like that, with the same kind of values. And sometimes this is like trial and error, sometimes it's not. So any top tips on how to build relationships on LinkedIn, or build relationships on the people that you want to get noticed by?
Yeah. I've actually got a 9-step process. I posted about this the other day on LinkedIn. So mine was for agencies, but it can be applied to all business. So I'll just say it as if I had to start my business again, whether it's content, business, agent, whatever it is, just apply this to your business. So if I have to start from zero, here's exactly what I'd do. So someone actually asked me that the other day, and it's pretty easy. What I know now, what I do from the start is paying for access to knowledge and networks as soon as possible. So let's just say you want to do $100,000 a month. Okay. It's a target that a lot of people want to hit. It's a target that I wanted to hit. If you're not doing that, it's because you don't know how to. So you might be working really hard, but you're not necessarily working on the right things. The problem is you don't even realize that you're doing the wrong things. It's invisible to you because you don't know what you don't know. So to kind of prove this example out, if all the money in the world was evenly distributed out to everyone today, in a few years, it would still find its way back into the same hands. And why is that? It's because the people who are winning, they spend their days only on the highest impact actions, and they surround themselves with other people who do the same, because smart people, they don't actually, contrary to the whole solopreneurship thing, they don't try and figure out everything alone. They leverage knowledge and networks to move faster together. So I, at the start, tried to grind away on my own, and I paid with my time, learning through trial and error. But the fast route, and what I do if I started again, and this is, I'm going to get to the relationship building side in a second, the 9-step strategy, is take the faster route and pay with money. So learning directly from people who've already figured it out. And ultimately, if you don't do that, it's your ego that's stopping you. And for me, it turned out the ego is pretty expensive. But if I was doing it again, set my ego aside. And these are the 9 steps. Step 1, find 100 people. And it's a lot of people, I get it. But if you really want the undeniable route that will definitely work, find 100 people who are already at 100K a month in your industry. Research everything about them. Step 2, podcasts, content, websites. And then you can reach out to them with a personalized message. Say something that's specific to them from their content. But say, look, I'd love to pay for your time. I respect what you've built, and I'd be grateful to ask a few questions. That's step 3. Step 4, have the expectation most people are actually going to ignore you. If 1 says yes out of the 100, that's enough. If 5 say yes, even better. And then step 5, on the call, start, it's important, by asking questions about their goals, not yours, and what's stopping them from getting there. Because then you can basically figure out how to get them to their goals faster, which is what we call offering value. So, and then ask your questions about what you want to know about. Step 6 is find a way to help them immediately. You know what their goal is. You know what the problem is to stopping them getting there. Either solve their problem for your own experience, or if you can't, introduce them to someone else who can. Be a good middleman or woman. Step 7, implement everything they tell you. Follow up with proof that you actually did it, because high achievers appreciate that. And also include a thank you note explaining how it helped. Step 8, ask if there's anyone in their network, because they've already got the network, remember, smarter people move faster together, that they think you should meet. And if they offer an introduction, take it. Step 9, this is the really hard part, which most people will never do. Repeat this process for 5 years. The outcome, you will be undeniable.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I really appreciate you sharing that value, those 9 steps, and really these 9 steps should be framed on our walls, or like in front of us, like every single day, because I mean they're so important in this revolution. So how did you come up with these 9 points? Just by trial and error, or just by looking at other creators, or just how did you because I think a lot of creators have mental blocks, and they can't figure out the process, and they don't, maybe their minds are not wired that way to pay attention to fine detail or whatever.
I'll tell you how I did it.
Yeah.
When I told you that I blocked out an hour every single day, or 2 hours, 1 hour for posting content and engaging people and connecting, and 1 hour for writing, that was how I did it, by writing. So when you write, a great example is Winston Churchill. He's one of my idols.
Oh yeah.
And for every minute that Churchill spoke, he would spend at least an hour writing, at least. And most people don't realize that Churchill was actually an incredible writer before he was a great speaker. The thing is with writing, and I understand ChatGPT, but the point is not the writing for can you shortcut writing so you never have to do it. That's not the point. You're skipping what it gives you in terms of how you organize thoughts in your mind. What writing does is it basically structures thoughts in your mind of past experiences, so you can clearly and more effectively communicate that to other humans. So the 9-step process for that, I literally sit down with a Google Doc and think and type stuff out, and it doesn't come out as 9 steps at the start. It comes out, now it does, because obviously I've done it a lot, but at the start it just came out as a big blurb of information. And then obviously I'd just reorganize that into a thesis. That was, if I imagine myself at the start, so easy that I could understand, and I was slightly dyslexic, and so easy that really, I think what's the writing grade of most people is it's something like 7th grade, the average writing grade of consumption of content. So write it so easy a child could understand it. and break down your steps. But ultimately, you can't do that day one. So you got to practice it. And if you skip that by always using ChatGPT, which by the way, I think you should use ChatGPT, but ultimately you skip doing the work on yourself, which is organizing the thoughts in your mind. Because ultimately, what most people don't realize is when you write content and you teach other people, when you teach other people, it doesn't have to be for writing content, just like if you're teaching in a classroom as well. Actually, the person it helps is not just the person who's reading it, actually helps you. Because to be able to teach, you have to synthesize down your thoughts and clearly communicate them. And that the process of synthesizing is basically you reorganizing the information in your mind, and that logs it in a completely different way so you understand it a lot more clearly. So I can give you step-by-step processes for all sorts of things, whether it's sales, marketing, recruitment. I can literally just sit here now, like stand here now for like 4 hours straight and just tell you all those different things. And that's because I've spent the last 2.5, 3 years writing every single day.
Amazing. Yeah. It seems like a lot of people like that. That point is an awesome point because a lot of people are missing like this vital step of having their creative minds run wild with writing, right? And relying on ChatGPT and stuff like that. I mean, AI has its place, of course, obviously, right? But it's so important that we don't, like you said, we don't skip this process to let our creative minds run wild with writing, so to speak, and then just naturally something magical happens. Maybe not. I don't know, depending on the person, that our mind is able to structure it in a way that simulates our creativity in other areas of our life.
Yeah,
Whether
it's
yeah,
it's more about the conviction though. So it's the same reason why, you see people that go to the top universities in the world, like Harvard, whatever it might be. And congrats to those people. That's an incredibly, I think a lot of people look down on education now. Like it's pretty hard to go to Harvard. Like fair play
yeah.
to people who do that. However, when they get them in the boardroom and try and do a business negotiation, they have no social skills. They can't. They just freeze up. And they can't do anything. Whereas the guy off the street who built businesses off his own backhand, he can just walk all over those people, guy, girl, whatever it might be. And the reason why, and this is my favorite quote, bar none, from Winston Churchill, which is one man or woman, I should say, with conviction will overwhelm 100 who have only opinions. But how do you get conviction? You get conviction by doing the work, whether it's by writing every single day for 2 years, whether it's by being on 1,000 sales calls, whether it's by doing 10,000 interviews, whatever it might be. Ultimately, when you show up in person for these big, moments in your life, you have to have that conviction. And that is basically self-belief that you believe you're good enough. And if you always take shortcuts, whether it's chat GPT or getting other people to always do your work, a team is important, don't get me wrong, but you won't ever actually, you'll get found out is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I have done the work. And this is the thing, like I've definitely not done as much work as a lot of people. I've got a long way to go. I make a lot of mistakes. I'll be open about that. But the thing is that whether it's writing or synthesizing down your thoughts, it doesn't matter what you do. You've got to actually put in the work. So really, when you come across in these important moments of your life, you have the self-belief that people will actually believe you. And if you don't do that, you can use ChatGPT as much as you want, but when you're trying to get on a sales call and sell a $10,000 product, you literally won't be believable at all, and people see straight through you. So, if you take shortcuts all the time and you don't ever do the work, you'll get found out. And I think that's something that no one's speaking about.
Exactly. No. Um, uh, Possibly because they don't want to speak about it because it's kind of awkward for them to point out and to call people out. But yeah, I mean, like, in my role, in my head, I mean, the more people call these people like out, these like fake people, the better. Because I mean, like, it just Well, it's not that I don't like. It's not that I want to be controversial. It's just that like these people need to be called out because, um, I mean, people sometimes blindly follow these like advice that don't make the logically don't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, you're so right.
I,
So yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, I just want to say one more thing on that,
Sure.
because to the people who like spend their life calling people out and stuff like that, like, I guess it's an open marketplace. Maybe it's good for society, and people who are, scamming people, maybe they deserve it. My viewpoint is I don't really want to get, notoriety in any industry by,
Mhm.
pulling someone else down.
Yeah.
Where my point of it comes from is the quote from Theodore Roosevelt, if you know it, which is actually more of it came from a speech called the Citizens Republic in 1912, I believe it was, in Paris. It's called The Man in the Arena. So the man in the arena is basically all about someone who's actually doing the thing. And this is, by the way, it was 1912 the speech was written, but it couldn't be more relevant in society right now.
Yeah.
And I know I want to be respectful of your time here, but ultimately, I need to read this out because
Sure.
it's
Right.
it's so good that people just need to hear these words and just let it sink in. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Let that sink in.
Yeah. That that's definitely powerful, and yeah, it's just like amazing um, how we can have that kind of attitude, right? How a human being can have that attitude by just as you said, like putting in the work and just like trying to be the best human that we can be in
Mm-hmm.
all aspects, right? In business and life and personal habits. So I want to like I want to ask about like personal habits that you've developed
Yeah.
for high achievers, and then we'll get on to the fun stuff like your mastermind and what you do for clients and people involved and just amazing things that are happening in your world right now, right? Very exciting things that are happening, and I'm sure that you can't wait to share them. I'm sure that our audience can't wait to hear them as well. So um, in terms of like a personal life, I mean, you're very open about your story, um, some circumstances that have happened in your life that are not very favorable, that have been a tough, very tough circumstances that no one should live through. But so, in terms of those experiences in your life and in terms of getting better just as you are, Nigel,
Mm-hmm.
every day, what are some habits that you have cut off? um, of course you don't need to share like you share what you want to share, obviously, right? What are some habits that you cut off and some personal habits that you continue to strive to endeavor to follow in order to be a high top achiever?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not one of these people who claims to be perfect. I don't think anyone's perfect. And I've got an ego like anyone else. I want to be successful. I'm very ambitious. However, I also know that I'm human. So I'm massively insecure. I make loads of mistakes every single day. And I have bad habits like everyone else. So having said that, some of the things that have helped me is one, I mean, I already told you, like kind of paying for access. That's definitely taking the fast lane in life and surrounding myself with the right people. Cutting out bad people has been a massive thing, especially negative people. People just speak about this a lot, but they don't take action because it's really hard. But having those toxic people in your life is such a weight on your shoulders. And even though it's hard to get rid of them, you have to be able to be the good guy today. Sorry, the bad guy today to be the good guy tomorrow. And if you don't understand what that means, it means that you've got to have a tough conversation, tell someone the truth that you don't want them to be in your life right now because it's not serving you. But ultimately, they know long term, they'll respect you for being honest. And when you go on to achieve what you went to achieve, then they'll be like, fair play. I mean, if they don't, it's on them, but you know that you did the right thing. So that's definitely something, cutting out bad people. I'm still trying to get better at that. In terms of some other things, I think a mental framework that's more tactical that can help a lot of people is when you're going through a really hard moment, which as entrepreneurs, I mean, actually, let me share a quick story because if anyone's listening to this either now or watching the recording, this is something that every entrepreneur, someone who's taking risks, that they face. You watch the Batman movies with Christian Bale. Have you watched them?
Yeah, they're one of the best Batman series.
Yeah. Do you remember in The Dark Knight Rises when he's in the prison? Bane puts him in the prison, and he's in the bottom of the prison, and there's like a well, and he's looking out at the top of the sky. Do you remember that scene? Okay. So what happens is basically the only way to escape this prison is to essentially climb up the wall and then jump across a bridge at the top. Okay. Now, Christian Bale, or Batman as he is in the movie, he tries to climb up the wall and he has a rope that he puts around his waist. Now, this rope for entrepreneurs signifies comfort. Okay, important to remember. He keeps trying to climb up and he keeps falling. He doesn't make it to the bridge at the top, so he can't escape the prison. And then one day he goes down to the prison. One of the prisoners says to him, jump without the rope, jump without the comfort, and let the fear of death drive you forward to the other side. So he climbs up without the rope, and you've got all the prisoners at the bottom cheering him on. It's like some big dramatic music. And he jumps without the rope, and he makes it to the other side, and he goes back home to obviously Gotham and saves his city. Now, jumping without that rope, what does that signify? It signifies uncertainty. And the thing is in the movie, it takes 2 seconds to get to the other side. In life, real life, it can take years. You have to jump, take that leap of faith, but no one is going to come to you with that rope and tell you this is exactly how it's all going to work out and it's a guarantee of success. So the hardest thing to overcome in your mind if you're doing anything where you've got to take a risk and try and be better is the uncertainty that you're not going to make it. And what I found is the only way to basically get through that is to believe in yourself that you will figure it out along the way. I mean, first of all, you've got to take the leap of faith. But the only way to get to the other side is to believe in that you have the ability to get there. And that is something that took me a long time to figure out. And it took me 27 years to quit my corporate job and take that leap of faith. And hopefully by sharing my story, I can give people the courage to take that leap of faith and believe in themselves that they'll make it earlier in life. Now, in terms of the little framework in the mind when I'm in those tough moments, because everyone, I'm sure you have it, Jordan, you ask yourself the question when it gets really hard, is this the right thing I'm doing? When you're taking that leap of faith in the air, am I doing the right thing? You know, should I be doing something else? Am I cut out for this? By the way, if those questions are coming, every entrepreneur, everyone who did something big always had those questions. It's normal survival instinct from a human. What you should ask yourself in that moment, or what I've asked myself that's helped me the most, is what's the alternative? For me, the alternative is quitting, going back to do a 9-to-5 job and saying goodbye to all my ambitions. That's not an option for me. So that gives me almost like gratitude in the moment to say, I'm thankful for these pressures. These people that are, you know, making my life hard, like I'm grateful for this opportunity, because the alternative is doing something that, even though this is hard, I hate the alternative so much more. And if you want to get really extreme, the long-term alternative is you get to the end of your life, you're lying on your deathbed, and the very, very last breath you ever have before you leave this world and thought is you looking back through your life, asking yourself, what if? What if I did take that leap of faith? What if I did write that book, start that business, speak to that person? And that, even if you're having a really bad moment right now in that time of uncertainty, is nothing compared to that last moment of regret you'll have when you die. So that always gives me gratitude in the moment to take more risks, but also to keep going and keep persevering, knowing that the alternative is definitely not better.
Oh yeah. Wow, that was really insightful, Nigel, and I believe that everyone really is passionate about their own journey, obviously, and really, really trying to figure this stuff out. I know it's different for each person, but really trying to sit down and like have a conscious motivator, something that like a phrase or something that you think back on, like especially when we dwell on like things that we should be grateful for, right? I have the time. Well, not everybody has this, and so I'm grateful for it. I have the time to walk 45 minutes on the beach at 6 a.m. or at 7 a.m. in the morning, and just run through my mind what I need to be grateful for, whether it's family related, whether it's business related, whether it's meeting incredible people like you. Grateful for everybody in my life that is supporting me, and and just like you said, trying to cut out those toxic people with negative thinking, right? And it's hard to do, but with the right kind of conviction, as you said, and without that rope, we can successfully make leaps in our business and life as well. So
That's the goal, my friend.
yeah, that's a goal. So tell us what is exciting for you nowadays about the mastermind and who's involved,
Yeah.
and it seems like you're super pumped for this,
Yeah,
and
man.
this is part of your vision, right? Because it's the first mastermind that you've had, and it's got to be like super exciting, and you're looking to establish like a yearly mastermind for this, and it's just like amazing traction that you're having. So
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely not just excited, but also scared at the same time, because I haven't done something like this before. But I'm taking that leap of faith, and I'm in that moment of uncertainty. You know, we're 2 weeks out now, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. In terms of the people who are attending, we've got 30 high growth entrepreneurs. We've got, like a few tickets left. Like, I think it's 3 or 4. And basically, in terms of the speakers, we've got Lara Acosta, who are some of the fastest growing personal brands on LinkedIn in the world. We've got Timothy Armu, who has got his own incredible backstory. He built and sold an agency for multi 8-figure exit. And obviously now he's investing in other companies. He's got a huge personal brand himself. We've got Romans and Christina, who are operators, and they work with agencies and other companies that do multi 7 and 8 figures. They come in and redo their operational infrastructure and work one-to-one with the CEOs. And then we've also got Joe Gannon, who helped build the personal brands of, people like Sahil Bloom, Ali Abdul, Chris Williamson, Jordan Peterson. The client list he has at just 26 years old is incredible.
Oh, yeah, wow.
He's got over 100 million organic views for his clients. And
amazing.
Yeah, I'm very honored to be alongside those people and to be able to put on an event. And it's not just anywhere, it's also in Dominican Republic. We're hiring out an entire resort in the Caribbean. So it's really built for intimate networking and to be able to have an experience like no other over the course of the 3 days, 28th, 29th, 30th of March, and be able to build those deep human relationships, which ultimately, if you think about it, when we get to the end of our life, all we've got is our memories and the experiences of, the people we had them with. So I want to create an experience that people will never ever forget, and also put them in a position where, we work a lot remotely. We often find it hard to find other entrepreneurs wired like ourselves. So I'm putting all of those people together in that location, and hopefully they can make friendships for life and create those experiences that when they are older, they look back and go, yeah, that was what life was all about.
Yeah. So I've actually lived in Dominican Republic for about a year or so, and I toured it, and when I went there, I felt safe. It was an amazing country, very, very beautiful, pristine beaches, and it's just like these moments of zen that you have, these moments of clarity, and like extremely beautiful areas, right? And of course, partaking all of this with incredible people, like such as your lineup that you have there, it's just a magical experience that you have lined up for sure. So how can people get in touch with you if they're interested about the mastermind?
Sure. Yeah, just drop me a DM on LinkedIn. We also have an event page, just event.davidtogoliath.com. Go and apply now. Like I said, there's only a few tickets left. I think the other thing I didn't mention is obviously there's going to be a lot of knowledge sharing here about client acquisition, team infrastructure, and building big businesses. So there's a complete itinerary. It's all on the event page. But yeah, if you're interested, got a few tickets left. We'll probably sell out in the next couple of days. Just drop me a DM and see if you're the right fit, and we can have a conversation.
Amazing. So we've been talking for 42 minutes of pure gold here, Nigel. And once again, thank you so much for your time. And it was amazing. The tips, especially 9 steps, and just like thinking back about the knowledge and just thinking about the tips that you've shared. It's just absolutely amazing what you've figured out already. But of course, continuing to figure out things, obviously, right, as an entrepreneur, just like everyone else. And so is there any final thoughts that you want people to know about scaling, about the event, about anything exciting happening in 2025 for you?
Not necessarily for me. It's more about the person who might be listening. It's that constraint drives innovation. Really think about the words I just said. Constraint drives innovation. And if we want to leave this place if we want to leave this world on a better place than we found it, we've got to put ourselves in places of uncomfortable situations to grow as people, which then lead to massive innovations, which obviously help set the world up in a better place for the next generations. And our ancestors did that. My granddad fought in World War II for my peace. And I want to try and pass that on to other people. And I think it all starts with mindset. And I'm trying to build a brand around self-belief to get people to believe in themselves, to take those risks and innovate and leave impact in the world. And that's what I would leave people with, to say that, look, it ain't going to be easy, but the only person who's going to change your life and your world, whether you want to do things selfishly for yourself or your family, or you want to impact the wider world, it's all on you. No one's coming to save you. But ultimately, if you believe in yourself and put constraint on yourself and set big goals, do that year after year, then you will be absolutely amazed at the growth you'll go through, but also the impact you'll have, because humans are incredible creatures. And even though we are perfectly imperfect, we can achieve incredible things. And if it all starts with self-belief.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Nigel, for this time together. We really learned a lot. I really learned a lot, and it was absolutely amazing. Thanks again. So, again, we have guests like Nigel. Well, not like Nigel, because Nigel's unique, but we have other guests coming next week and the week after. We have an eight-figure coach, Chris Ward, coming on, and also we have the national. Well, he was the national speaker for Tony Robbins for 8 years, and we'll delve into his story and other great guests coming on. Again, just as Nigel words say, it's our mission and the Social Tigers about impacting entrepreneurs, about helping entrepreneurs never give up, and this is what we achieved with this LinkedIn Live. Specifically, Nigel, we helped entrepreneurs never give up in their process, and actually, well, it's up to them, obviously, but everyone has limited potential. Everyone has that ceiling, but we have to remove that ceiling every day, just as you said, right? Every day we have to remove that ceiling so that we can be great, obviously. Well, thank you very much, Nigel, once again. And thank you so much for the listeners. We had over 20 people listen in. And so, once again, thank you so much. Again, if you want to change the way you do business, if you want to change your self-belief system, if you want to be surrounded by awesomeness in the Dominican Republic with awesome, amazing entrepreneurs, please hit up Nigel. He'll set you in straight. There's only a couple tickets left, so I urge you, please hit him up in the DMs and transform the way you believe forever. Thank you so much, Nigel, and we will see you later.